This video is about neuter nouns and adjectives. It corresponds to Oxford Text Chapter 10. Here's some fun facts about neuters. Neuter is a gender. It's just like masculine and feminine. The word neuter comes from the Latin word neither, so it's neither masculine nor feminine. Neuter nouns and adjectives have the same endings as the masculine, except in the nominative and accusative cases. We will find that there are no first declension nouns that are neuter. And in the second declension neuter nouns, they end in um in the nominative. And like the masculine second declension nouns, the I is in the genitive. So here is a list. A lot of these words can be found in your vocabulary. Caelum, caeli, periculum, saxum, verbum, and bellum. You can look those up in the vocabulary to see what those mean. You see that all of them, though, we identify them by this e rather than an e of the masculine words. Third declension neuter nouns are trickier. First, they can be a lot of different things in the nominative, like the masculine or feminine nouns. And second, you won't be able to immediately tell what the gender is, like in these examples up here. So up here, I can tell immediately that caelum is neuter just because it ends in third declension nouns aren't quite so straightforward, although later on we will learn some patterns to identify third declension neuter nouns. Down here, some examples are mare, maris, nomen, nominis, and litus, litoris. In fact, these two words, nomen, nominis, are a pattern. There are lots of words that have this en here. And there are a lot of third declension words that end in us, and both those patterns are neuter. Note that this us is not the same us that's in a second declension masculine word. It's really important to memorize the gender of neuter nouns. You've got to know that they're neuter because they operate differently than other types of words. Neuters are not really that hard if you remember two simple rules. Here are Sam's two simple rules for neuters. First of all, the nominative and accusative are always the same. No matter what declension they are, whatever the nominative is, the accusative is going to be the same thing. In the plural, the nominative and accusative ending is always a, and that simplifies things a lot in many ways. All the other case endings are exactly the same as the masculine. Let's take a look down here and see what they look like. So here are our second declension masculine endings down here. We've got our us, e, o, e, orm, is, os, is. Our nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, and then nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. Okay, so look at our two rules for neuters. Nominative and accusative are always the same. Well, we know that this ending here is going to be an it's going to be an from previously. So down here in the accusative, it's going to be as well. Second rule for neuters, nominative and accusative plural is always a. So I'm going to put an a in here. Oh, but the nominative and accusative are always the same, so a there. Okay, so is different from the masculine. This is actually not different from the masculine. Here's an a, not the same. This is not the same as os. In all other respects, however, they're going to be the same as in the masculine. I'll skip the long mark for now for the sake of time. So instead of us, e, o, e, orm, is, os, is, we have e, o, a, orm, is, is. So if we're looking at a neuter word here, and the word is caelum, caelum, caeli, caelo, caelum, caelo, caela, caelorum, caelis, caela, caelis. Notice that this a in the plural could cause problems if you confuse it with a first declension feminine word. So that's a really big reason that you need to know your genders. Let's take a look at third declension words. Right? Third declension masculine endings. We don't really know. Blank is eme, s ibus, s ibus. So what are the neuters going to look like? Well, could be a lot of things here, but if it's a lot of things up here, it's going to be a lot of things, whatever that is down here, going to be the same. Nominative, what's our second rule for neuters? A, both the nominative and accusative. So everything else is the same. Ibus, and then another ibus. Right. So instead of blank is eme, s ibus, s ibus, we have blank is e blank a ibus, a ibus. Right. Might not be worth memorizing this as a separate thing. It might just be worth memorizing the irregular third declension masculine endings and just knowing the difference. If you make a mistake and screw up the gender and forget that it's neuter, you're only going to miss 3 endings out of the 10. So not a huge crisis, but still really important to know the gender of that of those nouns. Certainly, at least if they're neuter. What's a neuter third declension word look like? The word nomen means name, so we're going to have nomen, nominis, nomini, and then nomen again down here. Exactly the same thing. Nomine, nomina, nominum, nominimbus, nomina, nominibus. Let's take a look at some adjectives now. First and second declension adjectives end with us, in the dictionary. As we know, the of course, is for neuter. They decline just like the neuter nouns in the second declension we discussed previously. So if we wanted to decline the phrase big sky, magnum is big, chylum is sky. So here it is. I'm not going to read it. You can take a look at that. Stop the video if you want. Moving down, taking a look at third declension adjectives. Most of the time their endings are slightly different than third declension nouns. We've seen the adjectives omnis omne, incolumis incalume, fortis forte. This is just one type of adjective where they have is, a. For each of these, the second form is the neuter nominative singular, so this e right here. If it were a noun, we'd expect that to be ablative, but it is not ablative when you're talking about adjectives. That e means neuter. There are other patterns for other third declension adjectives that we'll talk about at another time. So if we were going to decline the phrase every sky, it would look like this. Omne caelum, omnis caeli, so etc. as you go down. This is actually going to be an omnia right here. And these are what are called when they have this, when they have the E here, and the I here, and the I here, and the I in the genitive plural, those are called I stems. I stems. And there are a lot of adjectives like this. All these adjectives are I stems. And there's a noun that you have in this chapter, the noun mare, which means sea, is going to decline like this as well. It's going to be maria, means seas, marium, maribus, maria, maribus. And that's it for neuter. Thanks.